I'm sure you've heard the gambling term double or nothing. Have you ever wondered if you should take that bet? What if it were triple or nothing? If you stick around, I'll explain some general betting intuition. I'll also show you a technique for answering the question, should I take this bet? Let's start with double or nothing. Imagine you have $1. I offer you a bet using a coin flip. Heads, you double your money. Tails, you lose all of it. Here's what could happen if you bet all your money, every coin flip, for multiple coin flips. You start with $1. Heads, you now have $2. Tails, you're out of money. Next flip. Heads, you have $4. Tails, you're out of money. It's easy to see that even if you get lucky and get heads the first few times, eventually you will get tails and you will lose everything. It's obvious that you shouldn't bet all your money, but should you take the bet in general, with some amount of money? To answer that, let's look at all the scenarios. Consider what would happen if you played 3 rounds of double or nothing. There are 8 scenarios that are equally likely. Heads, 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 tails, heads, tails, heads, and so on. Here's a chart for each scenario. Check out what happens when we examine the row as a whole. Sometimes you'd win, and sometimes you'd lose, but what happens in general? What can we reasonably expect? If we add each outcome up and divide by the number of scenarios, we get an average of $1, which is what we started with. Statistically, we shouldn't expect to make any money here. Great if you want an adrenaline rush, though. Let's look at a similar chart for triple or nothing. Notice how, in this case, the average after the first bet is more than what we started with. This is great, but we still run into the original problem. It's only a handful of folks at the end that win big. Everybody else ends up with nothing. So, what can we do? Well, you might be thinking, gee, why don't you just not bet every penny you have on a bet where you could lose everything? Great point. But the question is, how much? What's the optimal amount? The answer is, it depends on how much you have. You don't want to bet everything because that's dangerous. You don't want to bet nothing because there's money to be made. You want to be somewhere in the middle, between everything and nothing. One good approach is to always bet a fixed percentage of your bankroll. The less you have, the less you bet. Hence, when you inevitably hit a losing streak, you protect yourself from losing everything. You want to still be in the game to enjoy the wins when it all averages out. So what percentage should that be? It turns out there's a formula. Enter the Kelly criterion. Here's a simplified version. F equals P minus Q divided by B. Those are probably meaningless letters to you at this point, so let's break it down. P is the chance that you'll win, which was 50% in the last 2 scenarios. Q is the chance that you'll lose, also 50%. B is the profit you'll make from the bet when you do win. In double or nothing, that's $1, because you bet $1 and you win $1. In triple or nothing, it's $2, because you bet $1 and you win $2. When you put all that into the formula, it'll give you F, the fraction of your money you should bet. Using Kelly on double or nothing tells us that we should bet 0% of our money, which confirms what we saw a few minutes ago. It's a bad bet. Using Kelly on triple or nothing gives us 0.25. In other words, bet a quarter of your money every time. Pretty cool, huh? In fact, maybe too cool. What's the catch? Well, Kelly does have some weaknesses. First, it's bold to assume that you know your exact chance of winning, or how much you'll win. If you're off by a little bit, you can end up making some really bad bets. Second, Kelly doesn't account for your own risk tolerance. How much you bet could be mathematically the best option, but you could have terrible luck, and maybe you don't have the stomach to lose half your money in mere seconds. A common solution to both these weaknesses is to bet a fraction of the fraction. Half Kelly is common. For example, with triple or nothing, that would be 1/8 of your money, which is 1/2 of 1/4. Finally, if you're curious about the math for deriving the formula, drop a comment. If enough people are interested, I'll do a follow-up video. And that's it. Thanks for watching.